Hi, this is Christelle Martinet with another scrying session. Today is the tail end, well, it's just the beginning of a new day, really. It's the beginning of, the 28th, the 28th. And I'm looking at, for those of you in the Austral there, the New Zealand, Australia, you're way into the 28th, the 29th. I'm looking at the 28th and the 29th. And I'm going to start seeing what is in store. What are we looking at here? I remember the last scrying session, there was such clarity. And you feel, there's a moment here that let's tell the truth, okay? Things aren't going as well as we expected, is okay. And what I'm seeing is that you feel flanked. You are sided. You have people next to you who are comforting and who are giving you a certain amount of positivity, some positive energy. But, it's as if that's not enough. We want to make our mark. Again, I'm seeing that it's almost as if I'm seeing small fires, little balls of fire, and everyone is just, like children, they're bursting forth. They want to grow up and they want to make their mark and they want to make a name for themselves. So everyone is I'm saying everyone, of course. It's very difficult to couch language when you're doing stuff like this, and but what I'm seeing is that sure, there are lots of us. We're in groups. We sing together. We work together. We dance together. We argue together. But what I'm seeing is there's sort of something that I'm not really caring for. I'm seeing that there is a burst of individuality. It's as if it's almost as if it's a political move. I'm seeing a political move, and I don't want to say a right-wing political move. I don't want to talk politics here, but I'm seeing a strong burst forth of not a collective effort. Collective effort's fine. They have been working. We can say that this was of late. That was the trend. Okay, but what I'm seeing here is, I'll take that back. It's not something that I don't like. It's something that, in the long run, may make us see or look for things that may not work in our favor. Okay, this is what I'm getting. I'm getting sort of a warning signal here that, sure, if you know where you want to go and you know what you want to be, all right, I'm talking ambitions here. I didn't expect to see that, and I'm seeing ambitions. People who are dissatisfied with how things are going, no matter how wealthy they are, no matter how supported they are, and no matter how well they're doing and what their bank account looks like. But what I'm seeing here is that it just doesn't seem like it's enough. It just doesn't seem like, I could do better. I'm reminded of when I used to go to talk to the teachers, PTAs and stuff like that. And and inevitably you hear this, the teachers' jargon. But they can do better. Oh, but they can do better. And I have yet to meet one teacher who doesn't say, your son can do better or your daughter can do better, And it's, I mean, why? Why do we have to do better? Aren't we just perfect the way we are? And, I'm trying to see where my comments now are coming from. And they're coming from an area where ambitions look forward. And this is why it's something that I don't like, because you're walking on a road that you can't even see, And there's going to be a pothole there. There's going to be a trap. And if you're not looking, you can fall in. As I take a breath, I'm breathing. I am breathing. I tend to hold my breath when I feel there's something. It's just negative. I just feel, I'm holding my breath, but, I didn't mean to hold my breath. But it's as if we're not being thankful, We're not being thankful for all the wonderful things that you've been able to accomplish. That taste of that ice cream that you just had today, or that cheese on the pizza, or those, anything that has a sensation, that has a taste, that has a smell, that has, a look to it, as if you're just rushing by, and of course, many of you will say, good, you can't take that to the bank. You can't go to the market and pay for your food. Life is made of human sensations. And your sensations are the result of what your mind tells you to think. And I know I'm going down a dangerous road, and I'm going to receive a lot of flames here, but I'm going to use this, this is what I use for my candles. I'm going to turn this on. One just ended here. Let me see if I can get that out. One just ended here. And so what am I going to do? I'm going to be like, I'm going to zap it, I'm going to, just like a television, the remote, I'm going to zap it, shut it and turn it and change the styles. What I'm thinking is that there are certain speeds to our energy. They can be perceived as very quickly passing, as very slow, because we're not getting where we want to go. I'm seeing speed here. I'm seeing ambitions that are going way ahead of our time. And I'm seeing that we risk in these days, the 29th, 20th, 30th, the end, the end of April, we risk falling out of step. You really risk seeing the forest for the trees, perhaps. That's what I'm trying to say. But as again, I have to start with that, the notion that you are flanked. You feel like you are part of a team. You have a partner when you're partnered. You feel like you are with other people. The sensation that I'm getting here is something different. I'm getting the sensation that beneath many of you, there is that desire to produce, produce, make, conquer, that urge to conquer. And we need to stop just a minute, just stop a minute, because what we're in is just perfect. What we're doing is perfect. We've chosen to be here, and that's perfect. Where we're able to go tomorrow largely depends on how good you smell those flowers today, perhaps. And what's interesting here to note is that yes, there are exactly two, one and two. Yeah, there are two impediments, you know, and it's I can call them impediments, I can call them potholes, I can call them glitches, I can call them traps that you're going to encounter. And what I also see is that they are of your doing. They're a consequence of the choices you're making in these days and your reactions to how things have developed of late in the past couple of days. You're seeing things you don't like. You're seeing things you want to make a qualitative jump. All right. Now, I'm going to invite you to take a look at what a qualitative jump looks like in real terms to you. Is it this big? Is it that big? Is it yellow? Is it green? Does it have a number? And as I'm saying these things, I see there's a lot of confusion there. There's a lot of confusion. You want better. You want better. You want more. There's a sense of being in a lack. And interestingly, that what I'm seeing is this is a consequence of you taking stock recently of what is going on. It hasn't met your expectations. And this is the result today of you, you know, this head in the front and your feet in the back, you know, the moving sideways like a crab. You're moving sideways. In a sense, you know, and I listen back to the words that I'm saying, you know, and I'm not removed, obviously, you know, I'm here with flesh and blood and I'm seeing these things. So I must be part of this as well. And I don't like this sensation of, you know, being disjointed, having one foot back and one foot forward and not knowing, you know, it makes for a bad posture, literally, bad posture. I'm reminded here of when I was a little girl. We lived in the heart of a city, an industrial type city with factories around. And one night, it was the summertime, and apparently a thief had entered the house, and I was notoriously always kept awake. You know, I was the last one to sleep. I wanted to stay awake just in case I didn't want to miss anything. You know, I thought, you know, maybe something would happen cool in the night. So often I was awake more than anyone else in the family, than my sisters. And one night there was this big loud noise, and I saw my dad rushing across, you know, from the door. We were in the bedroom, and I saw him rushing across after this thief. And I remember specifically his posture and the sagoma, we would say in English, in Italian, the shadow of his body moving, and it was all, you know, in that moment, you know, your head in the back, because he was rushing toward the door after this person. And it wasn't a pretty picture. It really wasn't a pretty picture. Obviously, this was probably, you know, the sensation of you know, holding on to your tribe, holding on, you know, and gathering your strength to launch back at something that was taken away from us. And I'm getting that same sensation now, that there's a sense of something was missed. You've missed something. You probably just closed one eye when you were doing something and you've missed it. And you've missed your turn. You've missed your chance. All right, let's just stop for a moment, you know, and let's see if what that thief really took. What was there? What was it? Was it just the breaking in? Did that person have time to take anything? What, you know, of course, I'm you know, going back to my dad, he, for me, forever, until the day he died, I spoke at his funeral, was my hero. He was a man. He was the protector. He was my dad, okay? Now, So I'm not criticizing any of that. But what I saw when I was in the eyes of a child, I couldn't have been more than 4. I saw a very frightening picture of a protector who was launching out that something that I didn't even know what probably thieves were at that time, you know. But there are energies that come in and they rob you of your very making, and you feel like you're at a loss because something was taken away from you. And when you weren't watching, right? When you weren't watching, when you were not vigil, and far from being vigilantes, you know, I'm saying that we need a little bit of a detachment here. What I'm seeing is that there's a sort of imbalance in movement, and this is going to last a number of days. I'm seeing this last more than the days that I would like it to last, but this is an energy that will last in the coming days, days to come, until you decide mentally. Your mind says, basta, basta, that's enough. Just let me walk, that's enough. You know, everything that's around me is fine. I'm in a proper place. This is where I should be. This is where I am. There is a reason for me to be here. Let me try to understand what that is. This crystal is a mixture of quartz and there's some inclusion. Well, there is some phantoms here. When I found this crystal, I was with a friend of mine who said, "It looks like a wedding dress. It looks like a wedding dress." Okay, and it actually does. And the interesting part of that notion is that it is a gown, a robe, something, a piece, something that you put on when there is a ritual, when there is a special moment, and when you're going to go toward a communion of 2 people, when you're going toward a vow. Okay, this is literally a vow, whether we do it in a sacred place, whether it's done in a municipality, but there's a vow there that 2 people take. And the interesting thing about this is that before you do take a vow, there is a question of whether you're in a place that you can see as perfect. And many times, and I've seen it so many times, what stops us from actually making a promise or giving or taking a vow is, you know, that posture going forward and rushing forward, because, you know, you cease to see what is in your midst as being perfect. And it really keeps us back from many, many things. I mean, that would prevent you from having a piece of cake, literally, from the celebration, from the celebration of inviting everyone to celebrate with you. And when I said, you know, before that I didn't like what I was seeing, you know, it had to do with that sense of, you know, oneness being ripped apart, and that frightens me. That frightens me. Yeah, there is a bit of scattering. Yeah, there is a bit of scattered energy, and it just takes a moment to regroup. Know that this will be a moment, 3 days perhaps, but we need to regroup. Just bring it together, bring that energy together, and remember that we are all there. We are. There is a sort of web there, and that notion of being alone is just very, very, should be very controlled, contained. Um, just not be overtaken by the mind, by our mind selling you scattered time. I'm seeing this saguma, this shape of forward dynamic movement where the party's here. This is where the party is. This is where we all get a piece of cake. Now, having said that, I would like to think of it as just a different speed, a different pace. And the next couple of days are going to be characterized by this different pace. A pace where sometimes at times you're going to feel like you're being pulled apart. At times you feel that you'll be moving apart. And at times you're not going to know whether you're pulling or you're pushing, And interestingly, what that means for us is that our assessment, our evaluation, our reasoning in terms of what occurs to us and how energies occur around us, and the dynamics around us may not be all very clear. So let's leave some room for doubt and not be so righteous in our beliefs. I am right, you are wrong, and I really do have to go there, and I'm not worth it, and I'm doing poorly because I've made some mistakes, or I haven't done all my homework. Let's be kind, a little kinder to ourselves. And I know I'm feeling like I got on a soapbox, but that was not my intention. The intention was to try to avert some traps up ahead. And if we do decide to, go in that direction, let's go with a lot of people. Let's go on a marathon. Let's go on a race. Let's all go on a race, a public race. Let's see who goes first, Let's do it together. Well, that's enough for this tonight. That's enough. That's enough. Namaste, my friends. It was a pleasure for me to read with you. Let's just smell those flowers. I do wish you a pleasant 3 or 4 days, 2, 3 days, let's say. And I'll be back. Bye-bye.